It's been a great week, man. Great weekend for me for sure.
Yeah.
Especially on Sunday, Kenny Stubblefield. We were going out to breakfast, went out to a spot I love to eat at, man, called Taco Felix #2. Kenny Stubblefield, you may be asking, why was I at
hell? Taco Felix #2?
You may be asking, why was I at Taco Felix #2 yesterday morning? You may be asking why I was there, Kenny Stubblefield.
I am asking.
This place has simply amazing breakfast out here in the Horn Lake area. Went there with my girl, the kids. Absolutely great food. My food comes to the table, Kenny Stubblefield, and guess what happens?
You get a text. You get a ding.
Yes, I get a phone
your
notification.
Your noties go off.
My noties blow off. Wait, that sounds big pause.
Big pause.
And I see that Desmond Bane has been traded from the Memphis Grizzlies. Kenny Stubblefield, a normal person would have been extremely surprised to see Desmond Bane of all people traded. But people like myself who have been saying these things since last year, Kenny Stubblefield, we're not surprised to see Desmond Bane was traded from the Memphis Grizzlies. People like my guy Dotson came in last week confirming some of the things that I had heard, some of the things that I believe. Yeah. And we saw it go down yesterday, Kenny, on Father's Day. Desmond Bane traded from the Memphis Grizzlies to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, as well as Cole Anthony, and 4 unprotected first-round picks and the rights to do a pick swap in 2030. Kenny Stubblefield,
man,
insane haul for Desmond Bane, a guy who we had different opinions on what his value was. I want
to say I'm right. I was right.
I'm not going to say you're right.
I was just going to say you can say, Kenny, you were right. I want to.
If there were several teams that would have done what Orlando did, I might agree with you. But in this case, I don't agree with you at all. I think Orlando made a horrible decision to trade for Desmond Bane. I think the Grizzlies absolutely fleeced him. When it comes down to great trades to benefit the Grizzlies, I have this currently #2, Kenny Stubblefield.
What's number 1? The Gasol?
Number 1 trade? No. Heck no. You better be glad we ain't 10 minutes in, bro. Hell no. I had this conversation with Jeff Calkins, right? This morning I had this conversation with Jeff Calkins. He was like, I said, bro, this is one of the best Grizzlies trades of all time. And I said, number 1 probably is to trade this where you got Quentin Richardson for Zach Randolph. You know what I mean? When you get, probably the biggest iconic player in this team. You get him for literally nothing, right?
I kind of forgot that was a trade. I thought that was a free. Yeah. For some reason, I thought free agency, but that was a trade.
No,
you're right.
We traded. I can't remember who the player was. We traded to get Quentin Richardson, but whoever it was, I can't remember who it was. But we traded Quentin Richardson for Zach Randolph, and I think that's the greatest trade of all time because it brought you Zach Randolph.
Yeah.
The Pau Gasol trade, I'm not giving them credit for a trade that they didn't intend to work.
That they didn't know was going to work. Yeah,
the trade was a salary dump, bro. That trade was to get Pau out of here, to get the easiest contracts, the most draft picks. No, and I don't even think they got a lot of draft picks. They might have got 2 from that deal. And I know, well, this pick turned into this, and this pick turned into this. That was not their plan, bro. That was a bad trade that ended up working out for them simply because Marc Gasol, who was a second-round pick, who they gained the rights to, who is also a guy that, according to the Marc Gasol documentary, they could have just bought his rights. They didn't have to do all that.
Powell would have bought his rights. What are you talking about?
I'll buy my brother's rights out of my own salary, right? And you did that, of course. So I'm not giving that trade a lot of credit, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm just thinking of like trades that like do a lot of publicity throughout or a lot of buzz throughout the NBA. That was a big one.
No, I mean big, like as far as like
beneficial.
We benefited from the deal.
Beneficial.
And I mean, it's undeniable. That trade turned into a lot of things, including Zach Randolph, right? So I'm not mad about the Pau Gasol trade, but this trade yesterday, even at face value, bro, to gain a vet wing like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's very much a vet, 32 years old, clearly the only player on this team. 32 years old, high-level defender, guy that can still make shots. Still land the offense is super trash. I'm not surprised that his shooting was low the way it was last year in that system. You gain him, you get Cole Anthony, who he's just a combo guard, probably like 5'11", 6'1", something like that max. He can score a little bit. Defends. He's a pretty good defender too. A lot of people don't know he can defend the ball pretty well. You get him. I think he's more of an asset than anything.
100%.
I definitely think he's going to be part of some other move to get dealt, whether that's after that August 11 deadline or something done before then, in principle or whatever for him. But the draft picks that you got, you're back into this year's draft. Like in 10 days, you're back into the draft, right?
Right outside the lottery, by the way.
Yeah, right outside the lottery at 16, you're back into the first round in a lottery in a draft that has a lot of good talent. And then you get, I'm getting mixed information about this 2026 pick, but it's going to be a lottery pick more than likely, right? I think you get the worst pick,
the worst of the Washington and Phoenix,
which is going to be probably a top 10 pick, right?
Yeah.
And then you get another pick in another year. You get two more future picks, and then you get the rights to swap in 2030. That is a absolute haul, bro. And I say that because it puts you in a situation where I'm gonna give you a story, Kenny. I gotta be fast, so I gotta get out of here today. I'm gonna give you a story. Gabe went to I took Gabe to the Memphis Sports and Entertainment Center.
Shout out MSEC.
Shout out to the good people over there. And it was a card tournament. I mean, not a card tournament, a card expo for people who are card collectors, all type of things.
Oh, sweet.
Right. And Gabe was spending, he had $40. And Gabe had $40 of his own money. And he was just spending the money, bro. He was just spending. And he was I was teaching them, I said, Gabe, I'm not gonna give you any money, right? You're gonna have to spend your own money. Because typically, even if he goes over, I'll spend the difference. Yeah. I said, no. I said, you have your budget today. This is your budget. This is your funds. This is what you got to spend. And Gabe got an absolute haul, right? And he went in and he bought everything he wanted. He got some cars he found out had more value than what he bought them for. And the guy was getting him some free stuff because he admired how Gabe was spending his own money and was counting his money and trying to work. Gabe was trying to work deals with the guy. He was like, can I get this for $2? Or can I get 2 of these for $5 instead of 3?
Gabe finessing, bro.
If they're $3 a piece, can I get 2 for $5? Like Gabe was working deals with the dudes, right?
Yeah, I like that.
The guy was giving Gabe all kinds of free stuff just because he liked how Gabe was handling his own money. Then we got a call from his mom saying, "Are y'all there? Are y'all gone?" I said, "Yeah, we're gone." She said, "Oh, I was about to cash app you $20 to give Gabe more money to spend with." And I said, "No, I think I'm kind of glad the way that he did it, the way he didn't have that extra money in his pocket, right?" These draft picks that the Grizzlies have would have been if Gabe was buying cars in that store with somebody else's money, which means he would have spent a lot differently when he was at that card expo, right? Because the point I'm trying to make is, you have draft picks that you can send in a trade that you normally wouldn't send out in a trade. Right. But they ain't our picks, or they Orlando picks, right? You got 4 of them, technically 5 of them, right? So you can go to a team and give a guy an additional first round pick or 2 first round picks or whatever you're doing to make a deal work that you normally would not be able to do because you'd be giving away your own picks, right? But with these Orlando picks in your hand, you can go to New Orleans and talk Trey Murphy, right? You can talk signing trade deal with Minnesota for Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Nas Reed or somebody like that, right? You can go Demi Avia. You can go Cam Johnson. You know, you can go after a multitude of guys. You can go to New Orleans and say, hey, let's do Herb Jones for Cole Anthony, who we just got, and we'll give you a first round pick. And any other time, the Grizzlies would be hesitant to send their first round pick. But since you have that in your hand, you can spend it. You've got an asset of first round picks that you can use, including your own. Right?
Such a great analogy. It's such a great analogy.
And if you're Zach Kleiman, bro, and you say, hey, you know what? I lied to y'all. I wanted Donovan Clingan in the draft. I did not want Zach Keedy, right? I can go to Portland and be like, hey, take Zach Keedy. I'll give you a first. And I can go get the guy I always wanted from Portland, right? Because who's going to give Portland a first-round pick for Donovan Clingan? Nobody. But if I got something to burn, why not? You know what I mean?
You about to start some stuff. You about to start some stuff.
Hey,
you about to start some stuff on Chris Twitter, bro.
I'm just saying, bro. Like you could go right all the wrongs. You want to go get Trey Murphy, the guy you should have got instead of getting Zaire Williams? Hey, New Orleans, I got 2 first-round picks. Man. I got Brandon Clark and I got Gigi Jackson. Or I'll give you 1 pick and Gigi, whatever you want to do, right? We can do these type of things, and I think it's going to be a great move. Whew. And I think the move is going to, by the time this summer ends, you're going to see that the options that you have can really make some things happen. And I'm not just going to send a pick out with John Conchar. I see my guy Chris Anthony said that, but I will throw Conchar in the deal and say, to get this other pick, you got to take Conchar too. Yep. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to do a Conchar and a pick deal for somebody. But I'm telling you, man, there's so many things on the table, man. You can go to Portland and do a lot of things. New Orleans is a lot of things you can do. Brooklyn. And here's the thing, too, man. There's something going to happen in Phoenix, bro. There's something going to happen in Phoenix. Whether that's a if that's a KD trade to either San Antonio, Houston, Miami, or whatever, or it's them blowing the whole thing up with Devin Booker. But if you're blowing that whole thing up, Phoenix doesn't own the rights to his own pick, bro. You know what I mean? And that's something that 26 pick that the Grizzlies have could definitely be something they maybe we could hold the cards to what a lot of teams are about to do going on this summer. I think, like I put in a tweet yesterday, that draft pick we had feels like one of the heaviest weighted draft pick assets that a team has for sure. Holding on to that because I mean, and what's going on right now? Phoenix is trying to get a deal done for KD, but they could definitely, the Grizzlies could definitely be the team that is holding that deal up or could make that deal happen for one team or another. That's why you look at the Spurs roster, you look at the Houston Rockets roster for players, because if Phoenix is saying, nah, these guys aren't enough, if the Grizzlies say we need a draft pick, we want our pick back, the Grizzlies could get, okay, well, give me player X back. And we'll send this pick out. But there's so many things they can do. Shout out to Desmond Bane. But the main thing that I see that this pick does is it looks like the Grizzlies are gearing their roster up to look like other championship teams, man, where you got a clear alpha, you got the number 2 guy who's a versatile guy, defender, all those type of things. Then you got some high level role players on that team with versatile defenders. No more backcourts. No matter what the Grizzlies do, they're not going to have a backcourt this year. It's going to be a negative on defense. Right. And you're probably going to have 2 guys in your starting lineup that can defend at a high level, which is something we have never had in this Ja Morant era of the Grizzlies. We've never had 2 high-level defenders, perimeter defenders in this roster at the same time. And even if you roll this team out as constructed, your 3 guys are going to be Ja, Jalen Wells, and
KCP.
But I'm telling you, that's not what the roster is going to be going forward.